Welcome to Must Have Classics, where we restore history one classic at a time. Welcome back to Must Have Classics. I'm Nick, and today we're introducing the second car in our Must Have Classics series. If you haven't already, please check out the first video in this series where I introduced my 1964 Thunderbird to kind of get an idea of what this series is about. This series is more about cars that are must-have classics in the terms of cars that mean something to their owners, collector's cars or whatever. So this one, we're going to introduce my wife's car next. You've seen the title for the video. It kind of gives away what the car is, but it's time we introduce it. So here it is. So there you have it. This is my wife's 1992 Ford Mustang convertible. And if you know something about the Mustangs from 92, you can tell by the color, the wheels, and the interior. This actually is a summer edition. The summer editions were the feature car for 1992. They made, there's speculation on the number, but most common number is 2,193 of these cars. To make them a summer edition, they were LX convertibles, not GTs, with the 5.0 red, white top, white interior, automatic cars. The 5.0s made a little bit more power than the factories because they had the Lincoln 5.0s in them. Again, speculation on that, but I'll crank this car up in a minute and you can kind of understand. The motor is completely original in this car. Transmission was rebuilt at one point. Interior was redone years ago, and then I redid the paint and body on it in 2018 and early 19. So little backstory on this car. So this exact car came from Amarillo. It was bought new in Amarillo as a feature car, and then the original owner sold it to a guy that was selling it to his bought it for his 16-year-old daughter, and she had it for a little while, and then she drove it into the back of his truck and bent up the hood and broke the front bumper. And yes, all this is dirty. This car literally came back from a car show last night, and I haven't had time to clean it. And then it also got hot because it's 106, and I had to spray it down to get it to cool off, so it's a little dirty at the moment. But anyways, so from there, another guy bought it in Amarillo, and this would have been in 2017 when he bought it. He drove it for a while, and then in 2018 I traded a 2000 Chevy 2500 for it. And then, because at that time I just wanted a Fox body. I really wanted a 93 because I was born in 93, but the 92 came up, so I ended up buying this car. And then 2018 I got it, kind of kept it that way, and then late 2018 to early 2019 is when it was torn apart and had the paint job done to it. And when we did the paint job, I didn't really want anything that anyone else had. I don't really like cars everyone else has. So at that point I decided I wanted to do the white stripe, and instead of doing two white stripes, I thought it would be cool to have the off-center white stripe. And then what also makes this interesting is that, let's see if I can get my phone out here. If you can possibly see it a little bit, it's hard to get on camera. There is a pearl stripe that comes right through here, and then in the back we actually did, you have the pearl stripe here, and then again, hard to see on camera, kind of see it right there. There is the Triforce from The Legend of Zelda. Now, backstory on that is, when I decided to do this car, I had originally thought about, turn my flashlight off there. I'd originally thought about getting rid of the car because I had really wanted a 69 Cougar, and there was one that was available at the time. But my wife now, she was my fiance then, she really just liked it, and she kind of had all that, the same dream that every young girl has had in her lifetime at some point, of wanting a red convertible. So that's when I decided to give this car to her as a wedding present, but she still had to work for it. So I have pictures of her standing on it in the shop trying to get it ready, because we started on it I believe in December of 2018, and we finished it to go to the Make-A-Wish car show in Amarillo in March of 2019. So really busted ass on it and got it done. So that's where the Triforce actually comes out. Is her dad was a big Legend of Zelda fan, and he passed away, and all of her family has the Triforce on their cars, and we didn't want to put a sticker on this one, so we actually ghosted this one in. So this car will always stay in the family no matter what. As I walk around, the handle literally broke yesterday, so I've got to get one of those, but I had already planned to do this video. So yeah, fun car to drive. So let me show you a little bit more of it. So let's get this hood open here. So as I was saying, underneath here is the stock 5.0. I have done a cold air intake on it, but that is literally it. I've even saved the original air filter for it, air box and everything, and I might put that back in at some point. I mean, everything is in decent shape underneath here. The car has 121,000 miles on it, or something close to that. Let me look. 21,000 miles on it, and has been pretty well taken care of. Like I said, of course, it had the wreck at one point. They replaced the front bumper, fixed the hood, and then it had a ton of rock chips down it that took hours and hours of sanding. And then the other main thing I've done to this car is I've done a ton of exhaust work on it. So as you can see, I've got the bigger shorty headers. This car originally came with shorty headers, and then had catalytic converters, and then when I originally got the car, it had Flowmaster 40s and went up and over with the ugly chrome exhaust tips that came out the back. But now I have shorty headers, off-road H-pipe, single chamber like Flowmaster 10s with the exhaust, 3-inch exhaust dumped up and over the rear end. And I'll crank it up in a minute and get an idea of what this car sounds like, but it sounds great. Has the original factory boot, which is hard to find, and I even have in the trunk the original factory bag that the boot goes into. Like I said, seats were redone years ago at one point. We're gonna get them redone because white is so terribly hard to keep clean. And then typical problem with the ashtray lid, I have fixed it twice now and it's broke again, so this time we're going to switch it out for the cup holders. A little bit easier for modern day. Again, white top. I'm not going to put it up because it's a pain to get this one up. And pretty simple car to talk about. Big thing on these cars, they are kind of valuable because they are the summer edition. Again, if you don't know much about those, so in 92 you had the summer editions, which were the red and white. You could also get a yellow one, and then in 93 they started introducing the white on whites, which I would love to find one of those cars to do the white on white with a red stripe on the driver's side, so that we could park these nose to nose and have the stripe continue down it. I think that would be really cool. And then also 93 had the 7-Up cars, which were the green, and I wouldn't mind finding one of those. I love Fox bodies. I wish this one was a manual, but like I said, it's not my car, it's my wife's car, and definitely gets the job done. So yeah, a little bit newer than the typical content you see on this channel, but definitely a must-have classic. These Fox bodies, funny enough, we have a competition between me and my wife over which car is worth more, my 60 Thunderbird or her 92 Fox body. When I bought this car, that truck was valued at $5 grand. And now I probably couldn't even find one of these cars in the area that even is remotely decent with a 5.0 in it for less than that, or even close to that, honestly. Right now we have this car insured for 40 grand and only have my T-Bird insured for 18,000. So market on these cars has absolutely skyrocketed. and I'm glad I got one when I did, but that also means that it's going to be years before I ever end up getting the next one I want, so that we can have the his Fox and her Fox. So, but you know, one of these is just the way it happens. I'm glad the market has increased. I'm definitely happy to have this car. But now let's do the important part. Let's go drive it around. You won't be able to hear me talk because I don't have a mic at the moment. And convertibles, and you're about to hear this exhaust, you'll know exactly why you won't be able to hear me. But let's go take it for a drive. Ton of work done to the exhaust. I've probably got $1,000 to $1,500 in this exhaust system, but definitely well worth it. Let's take it out for a drive. T-Bird, this one does get up and go. I wish I could get it to tone down. It has a great lope when it starts warming up. Right now it's kind of a little cold-blooded, and it's also still mad at me from yesterday getting hot. See what this car can do. I also kind of wish that the gearing was a little bit different, but again, perfect world, I'd probably own a manual inside. Plus, we can put a car seat in the back of it now. And proof that my daughter loves this car, we'll put in a little video of her in the back seat having fun. So yeah, the car is just a part of the family now. This is the newest one of all the collections we have, besides the ones I'm building, like my Cougar and stuff. But this one was the last one that's been done. That's a personal car. So, you know, hasn't been as many shows and everything, but great car to own. I do recommend, if anyone gets a chance to own a Fox Body, or at least drive one in their lifetime. They're sometimes one of the more hated Mustangs. People say they're not real Mustangs because they're ugly, and that Ford never made a good Mustang after '73, and I would disagree. The Fox Bodies are some of the best Mustangs out there, which this is coming from someone that also kind of hates Mustangs. But I love Fox Bodies. They're great cars, super nimble. And next month we're actually going to take this thing out and do some autocross in it. She's been wanting to do that with it for a while, and we just haven't been able to do that. So there's going to be videos of it doing autocross later on. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So that'll do it for this episode. Like I said, if you haven't already, check out the last video where I talk about my T-Bird being a must-have classic. And again, let me know down in the comments what your must-have classic is. Like I said, it doesn't have to be a car that's worth much, but it has to, you know, if it means something to you, that's all that matters. And so yeah, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Check us out on Instagram at Must Have Classics. I'm going to start posting there a little bit more often now. And check us out on Facebook at Must Have Classics Ralls, R-A-L-L-S. And subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And remember to do the most important part. And that's get these classics out and enjoy them as much as you can. We'll see you back in the next one.
Finally, I get to drive my own car. To living in the city. It's that I can't do what I like.